Well, good morning, everybody. And let me say a couple of notes of appreciation. First of all, to the Prime Minister of Pakistan and to Field Marshal Munir, who were both incredible hosts. And whatever shortcomings in the negotiation, it wasn't because of the Pakistanis, who did an amazing job and really tried to help us and the Iranians bridge the gap and get to a deal. We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So,
the Vice President starts with warm thanks to the Prime Minister of Pakistan and Field Marshal Munir as incredible hosts who did an amazing job trying to bridge the gap in 21 hours of talks. He frames the outcome bluntly: good news is the substantive discussions, but bad news is no agreement, and it's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States. He stresses red lines were made as clear as we possibly could. Takeaway: strong hosts and crystal clear boundaries still don't guarantee a deal when the other side refuses to budge. Will Iran blink first?
I want to negotiate in public after we've negotiated for 21 hours in private. But the simple fact is that we need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations. Again, their nuclear program, such as it is, the enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed. But the simple question is, do we see a fundamental commitment of will for the Iranians not to develop a nuclear weapon, not just now, not just 2 years from now, but for the long term? We haven't seen that yet. We hope that we will.
Analysis: when pressed on specifics, the Vice President refuses to negotiate in public after 21 hours in private. He zeroes in on the missing affirmative commitment that Iran will not seek a nuclear weapon, nor the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. He calls it the core goal of the President of the United States and questions the fundamental commitment of will for the long term, noting their enrichment facilities were already destroyed. Takeaway: without a clear, lasting promise on nukes, every other concession is meaningless. Long-term promise or quick breakout? Follow Daily Ups for more unfiltered breakdowns like this. Hit follow now.
We talked about all those issues, Jen, and we talked about a number of issues beyond that. And so certainly those things came up. But again, we just could not get to a situation where the Iranians were willing to accept our terms. I think that we were quite flexible. We were quite accommodating. The President told us, you need to come here in good faith and make your best effort to get a deal. We did that. And unfortunately, we weren't able to make any headway. Preston.
Analysis: Jen, about a framework and frozen assets. The Vice President confirms we talked about all those issues and a number of issues beyond that, but still could not get to a situation where the Iranians were willing to accept our terms. He insists the U.S. side was quite flexible, quite accommodating, and acted in good faith per the President's orders. Takeaway: flexibility only works when the other side actually wants to close the deal. How much more flexible could they get?
Yeah, obviously we were talking to the President consistently. I don't know how many times we talked to him, a half dozen times, a dozen times over the past 21 hours. We obviously also talked to Admiral Cooper, to Pete, to Marco, to the entire national security team. We talked to Scott Bessent a number of times. So look, we were constantly in communication with the team because we were negotiating in good faith. And we leave here with a very simple proposal, a method of understanding that is our final and best offer. We'll see if the Iranians accept it. Thank you.
Analysis: the Vice President reveals constant contact with President Trump a half dozen times, a dozen times, plus the full national security team during the 21 hours. They leave with a very simple proposal described as our final and best offer. Still negotiating in good faith. The unanswered rapid questions on Netanyahu and the Supreme Leader's health hang in the air. Takeaway: top-level coordination was intense, yet the final offer still sits unanswered. Will the Iranians say yes or walk? Follow Daily Ups for more unfiltered breakdowns like this. Hit follow now.